Almost. There we go. We're live. Welcome, everyone. Check it out. We've got Martin.
Yo, yo, yo. Oh, yo, yo,
yo, yo.
Introduce, and then Victor's here too. And we're gonna do a little talk. Let's get started. So, what's up, everybody?
Well, feeling great.
It's good to speak. It's good to see you, brothers.
Yeah, man.
Really
yeah, you too.
I've actually caught up with you guys. Been following you, in background over here, watching what's happening and that. But you guys are on the menu.
Welcome.
What's going on? Yeah. Somebody's got feedback.
Yeah, a little bit of feedback. I'm looking to see if the chat is on.
Yeah, let me show you out, man.
You check out the page. We've got.
I got it. Share on the scene. So yeah, guys, thanks for inviting me. That's awesome.
Dude, super awesome to have you. We're really glad that we could get this done. You've been doing such incredible research that obviously I've been kind of hoping I got to the point where I'd accumulated enough information about this to even have questions to ask you. But now we're at a point where we can start talking about some of the craziest stuff that has been developing and but also some of the oldest information is some of your information. Like we've been looking into the Bacchus stuff and you've been talking about Dionysus. But I don't know. Let you talk for a minute, man.
Well, 6 months ago, or less even, I was only juggling with the idea of Americans' history being a lot older, but it's always out there, isn't it? But it was tied in with Vikings and different scenarios. And then it was just like all of the other things that we suspected. Once we started digging in, it sort of just unveiled that there's overwhelming evidence of this civilization existing in America not so long ago. The craziest thing, which is now out there in the public arena, isn't it? Everybody's talking about it. But this was only an idea. And I said, I said out loud, I think America's a lot older. I think these buildings are them, It's them, you get this feeling with architecture. And there's somebody else out there as well. There's that Phoenician feeling, which is really not good, which you get in a civic building. There's a Tartary, which is more naturalistic, and then there's others as well, which are also demonic. Now, what I'm trying to do, or what I have been doing, is trying to just establish what we're looking at as a peoples. Like the Phoenicians, I think it's safe to presume that the controllers are definitely going by their MO, with the way that they've they've set up culture. Okay, so I think it's safe to presume that it's them. The Tartaryans, they seem to have been eradicated for sure, but I got a sneaky feeling that they might have something still going, I like to think that they got a little undercover resistance somewhere against them, I can't imagine they got completely wiped out, So I like to think that. But there is an other as well, which there's an anomalous, when you read all of these antiquity texts, they always refer to this anomalous force or army, which they don't actually refer to as an army, they refer to as a force. So I can't really establish army, but it comes from the east. That's all they say. So Tartarians? Who? East where? So, and it's always the east. So it seems to be somebody else out there. Can't put my finger on it just yet. What we got to do, guys, is again, which is what we don't do on Flat Earth British, is touch any historical narratives. We can only take what they've given us, dig in with our own sources, like Victor knows. Nobody knows better than Victor these sources, and see what we can find. And then things unravel real time, and synchronicities as well, because I'm thinking stuff. Right, people are literally an hour later, on the same card, like literally. The other day I posted ideas for the ways out of this plane, through the EM model. At the same time I'm making this video, Lee Flat Earth British Sub is also making a video. I haven't spoken to him about it. And the title of the video is Gates Out of Here, but he's using the Antarctica ice ring as an example. And I'm like, well, both of us, we haven't even discussed, we haven't talked in a week. It's just, this is how it's always working. It's just, everyone seems to be on the same. You guys are the same.
So many more 100 monkeys, so much quicker.
Things are invented as well at the same time, aren't they? People invent one thing and somebody else apparently simultaneously. I think the information is all there. I think once you slot into this consciousness, this thing that's happening, the Akashic record, what you ever want to call it, I think all the information is obtainable. I keep having these ridiculous downloads at night to the point now where it's getting on my nerves. where I can't sleep, where I'm having HD visionary projections in my mind when I'm trying to go flipping sleep, of downloads of vlogs and information and coming from here and coming from there, and you can see the grid and I'm picking it out in my mind, and it's just like that, like downloads of information in the night, and then I wake up in the morning and then it's all sorted out into an order, and then I try and do it. So that's how it's working. So it's downloads of information. Is it me? Am I a receptor for this information? Is it external causation? Is God giving me downloads?
That's the biggest question right now, I think, and it's one of the ones that scares me when kids talk about stimulation theory versus simulation theory. I think simulation theory is designed kind of the way the stories of Columbus, they're taking people into humanizing the Indians to make it easier to kill. Now we're making people into video games. So when you say
it's so dangerous aspect to that, you know. You think about, if everyone thinks simulation theory, right, and you know the mindset of a lot of people out there, guys, what if they sort of separate and they think, well, if that's an NCP, then I haven't got to worry about, like, if things come on top, about bumping him, because it's only an NCP and he's without feelings, right? Exactly. So it's going to separate, isn't it? It's going to...
Everyone's going to be an NPC to the other person. That's the thing, because it's the way... So we need to think of it more like stimulation theory, where it's like there is something that we're all experiencing, and we might and probably are all wrong because it's all augmented, because we can't really touch anything. It's electrostatic, but we have a sixth sense that might be the only sense, is empathy. So if we can, you know, feel the raw emotion of each other.
Yeah, and it's in the principle of empathy that we get to, you know, reasonably see or perceive that there is such a thing as a sense, and maybe it's just one sense, and
do you guys feel you're really highly psychic? Do you, Victor? Do you, Andreas? Do you feel you're psychic, really psychic, more than other people around you?
Psychic is a funny word, right? Because it's like psychic. Do you feel like of psychic?
No, I'm at war with my psyche. This is how I've sorted all of this out. Is I basically stopped listening to my psyche, because I found out it's not our friend. And I thought, how is it that my subconscious, living in my mind, is fucking me over? It's not my friend.
Being an idiot.
Do you know, Martin?
Idiom.
Do you know, Martin, what the symbol for psyche was for the Greeks? It was a butterfly, like in MK Ultra. That's why they have it in MK Ultra. Yeah, the monarch. It's a symbol for the mind, and how it progresses through stages of consciousness evolution. Yeah.
But the better thing than being psychic, I think, and it's just being empathetic, you know.
I think a lot to do with emotion. I think emotion is more than we think, you know, because, like, you know, the emotion of love is so overpowering. It can, you know, makes people do stupid things. Wars are over it. It's just, and it's emotion.
It's the most powerful thing. It's more powerful than fire. Absolutely.
Yeah. And maybe it's just not, you know, emotion, electric motion. And then Wheeler has this thing about it's not a wave, it's not a noun, but it's the thing, it's the action. And you cannot, you know, define it.
Of existence. If it affects something, it exists, right?
Yeah, but it's like Bergson's, this French philosopher's conception of time as duration instead of time, defined, you know, as linear space-time or whatever. It's like this thing, and you have to understand it as it's moving. You have to be in it. You have to put yourself in it, and then you are the cycle in it, and then you have to know yourself to know the cycle, and then you have to know the question of when instead of where and what, because when is the ultimate answer to all the others.
I think it's connected to your higher self as well. You know, if you connect with your higher self, and I feel the pineal gland is a definite big on that. Once you are sort of in sync, if you like, with your higher self, and the message comes through clear from, you know, higher Martin, things seem to sort out, don't they? Everything seems to run along, and the information seems to just appear. It's just the weirdest thing. The weirdest thing. So that level,
it's like the opposite of the deja vu, because you think
I get that too.
Yeah, but like when we experience the deja vu, I sometimes imagine it that those moments are the realest moments, and we are in a state of actually perceiving real space-time in the deja vu, and that's why it's so uncommon for us, because We don't do that normally.
Yeah. Well, so I think that has a little bit to do with the DAO. I'll go, but I want to go into that in a second. Really quickly, did you see the article that RT just did about there's scientists at the Bristol University, I believe, did a study that showed the impact of the sixth sense and being able to impact directly through a physical way through waves. So they've actually, it's kind of what people talk about.
That experiment I'm aware of. It was conducted more than Bauer Bristol. I think it was, you know, they put these little, like, I suppose they were like little interferometer type double split machines all over the plane at this same time. And if they attracted one, you know, whatever atom, cesium, whatever they were using, the other ones, through whatever you want to call it, spooky action at distance, were stimulated in Geneva all at the same instant. Now, they couldn't ignore that. If you want to look at fear on the look of a scientist's face, mention the measurement problem, the grizzle. Now, we can't really, as the way we are, go with quantum theory as the way they explain it. But I put it into more supernatural terms, as we are definitely creators.
Or maybe just super physical terms.
Qualitative versus quantitative is really, I think Terence McKenna said, like, you show me one miracle and I've seen them all. And I think my dad said something almost as horrible.
That kind of stuff, but he was another one, wasn't he?
Well, you see one wave at the beach, you've seen them all. It's not that you've seen them all, but you can then make an understanding about waves in the future. You'll be able to say, well, that is a wave, and it's a bigger one or a smaller one, or it's an augmented or it's tubular. It does give you a qualitative metric that you can then have quantitative understandings of how many or how augmented or fractional or symmetrical.
Like that medium that Victor was on about, this ether, that if you're in it, this time medium, I feel like that is the consciousness that we're all, every one of us are a part of this grid. And I feel like with this parasitical thing going on, it's poisoned, like overwhelmingly poisoned, and I feel it all around, and there's good little lights there, which you try and track out, you know, in this place, in this plane. But this parasitical thing, you know, we're living in, like, I don't want to like put it into religious terms, but it is like the devil's playground, isn't it? Everyone's just, the ideals are out the window. Everyone's looking for the quick fix, the quick dollar.
That's how rock stars speak. I think it's completely fine.
But I've lived in, I don't think anyone's done things I have in life. Like, I can assure you, I've been around a long time.
It's decent. It's decent philosophy. Like, it's funny, people compare. They're like, oh well, it's so barbaric the way things used to be.
You got to go through being insane to be sane in the first place. You know, I've been off the radar and that. I've been like this. When I was in the Navy, I was like this smashed, horny, Donnie and Grey character that went around, you know, all over the world, just being off the radar, badly behaved. Not bad person, just badly behaved. For myself, for hedonistic purposes. Like, let's just see what is out there. Now, I spent the longest time living this way, guys. Do you know what it gave me? It gave me no memories. It's given me nothing real and tangible in this life. And I sort of blocked them. You know, that was what I was searching for most of my life, and it meant nothing because it was superficial, guys. I was chasing dreams. They weren't there. Yeah, the real stuff is here now. It's real people. It's this movement. It's this awakening, this truth that's coming out. This is the real thing. I've never felt anything more poignant and meaningful in all my existence. Nor will I ever, and I know it. So the day I die, I know it. There will be nothing bigger than this. What's unveiling? You know, do you know what? The governments are playing tricks with us, guys. Guess what came up on my newsfeed today? BBC newsfeed promoting or saying, right? So I don't know what they're exactly playing at, but they're saying that YouTube are promoting flat Earth videos. Only 1 month after they're saying they're going to edit them and keep them in the back shelf. So BBC are telling the people, more listeners or people looking at any other probably news media place, right, that YouTube are promoting flat Earth. So people are going to say, well, why are they doing that? So what are they playing at? Is this the bigger mindfuck?
It's the biggest mindfuck I've seen.
Biggest mind F.
I mean, I'll be honest, it's the most crediting thing to flat Earth besides the evidence itself is that people would be like, they're like, this is happening. Stop. You know what I mean? It's like it's so abstract that it's like, well, you know, even Joe Rogan was like, no, stop.
You can just read his face though, Andreas. The semi behind his eyes.
Yeah, even absolutely.
Bravo telling him, he knows.
He wants to go into the Saturn realm. Ooh, you know, like you get that feeling from
Bravo has him brilliant.
got really excited one night with Neil deGrasse Tyson in a hot tub, I assume. But like the thing is, you know, he definitely doesn't want people to stop like talking about it because he wants it to be a joke. That's the only way to get rid of it. If you take it seriously enough that you erase it from the internet, Flat Earth won. That's it.
Wow, isn't it terrible though, right?
Maybe,
they're top guys, such low intellects, like, you know, they got these real like tubby guys that make no sense and stuff, or, you know, like a science guy, for example. What's his name? Bill Nye.
Right.
You know, come on, guys, come on. In reality, that's their men.
Yeah. Well, but the funny thing is, if you look into like, the gaslighting of real life, so you know, think about 2 and 5, people like, okay, Galileo, right, and Newton. So all these people that had to low key know the truth about things, and you know, there's a whole other reality for like the Jesuit mysticism, which is a flat holographic universe, and always has been, by the way. And they just kind of say, oh yeah, you experience it as a globe, because like that's what, you know, you have to say so you don't get killed by, you know, in the 1600s, you know, and even now it's like dangerous information, like, but they don't pretend to themselves that it is the way that they tell you it is. They just wait till you're 30 or 20 or something to maybe explain that to you, that it's a metaphor, so that you can, you know, you can still be trapped in this paradigm. That's
and they joke about it, Andreas. There's this Jesuit guy called Guy Consul Magno, yeah. Guy Consul
Magno, I've seen that.
Yeah, and he jokes about gravity being obsolete in the future, and how, and he doesn't even do it nervously. He's like gloating. He's like he's saying, he's giving like a fuck finger to modern scientism, even though he knows that Jesuits fathered that.
The weird thing is like I mean, you know, Guy Consul Magno is a weird one because like he's associated, so you can't trust, you know, anybody who has a Lucis telescope, you know, Lucifer telescope. That's kind of weird. But at the same time, this whole thing about like being a scientist who loves God, I've been listening into like some of these people, like, you know, look at Martin was in the Navy. Like people were you know, think about in the 1600s, if you wanted to read a book, what kind of clubs you'd have to do. You know, what you'd have to do. Like, so there's like people that would join churches. Yeah. And some of these scientists are not actually evil. They're just in the wrong organization. And maybe
like we talked about, Andreas, with the
Death Star, creating a hole in the Death Star. If you have a conspiracy that while you're the one building it, you can make that might be a Tartarian plot, you know, like build it yourself, building it.
I like that thinking.
It's out there.
But we've got some stuff that actually we were going to talk about. I was going to look into the Bacchus stuff.
I would like to share something really quick about. Okay, I'll do some screen sharing.
While you're on that, I'm going to really quickly read through some of this chat window.
Okay, am I sharing now? Yes, I am.
Yeah, it's scary to see me backwards.
So this is the current conception of Satan. I'll show you now, at least in the Latin roots. I have this program called Words, William Whitaker Words, and it's an excellent source for etymology in Latin. And then you can see here this Roman ruler of the underworld, originally deity godhead Jupiter. And we read here that it was also attributed once to Pluto.
Yeah,
but they concede further down, that Jupiter was, yes, you can see here, Sos Pater was the real, also at another point, this. And so he is the real Baphomet, and the esoterians of the truth movement, they like to paint Saturn, the planet Saturn, as Satan, because there's a phonetic unity or very similarity perhaps, but Satan just means adversary, and it is a role played by many different gods or energies in a given age. So our adversary right now is Jupiter in Pisces, because he rules Pisces. And yeah, I just wanted to get that out there, because so many assume Saturn to be this evil, because he's also known as the Great
Well,
Malefic.
I always go with what everyone's thinking, see, because I always see that they might be scapegoats. Try and see.
Yeah,
you guys see how
and ain't that the story of Saturn, the
Saturn's
epic
mother.
scapegoat?
Saturn's really, if you look into, weren't you Xirtus? You had a thing about Xirtus at some point, and so Saturn has become masculinized. It happens, and there was a point when Saturn was the mother, and it makes a lot more sense when you start looking into, you know, Adam having a rib.
Yeah, male patriarchy society. Yeah, it makes perfect sense actually. I'm thinking about it now.
I mean, there's a lot of conspiracy. I guess that's the wrong word to use these days. There's a lot of contemporary conversation happening in the communities about Daniel and which is Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat being a woman, or even being a eunuch that had been intersexed by being sold. And then, you know, imagine you're the brother who's been, you know, sold, and you're this like feminized minister of Egypt, you know, and how you're going to treat your brothers. I mean, it's an interesting story.
It is interesting thinking on all the stage shows being pushed as well, and they have all of these arty-farty types playing Joseph in his amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat every year.
Absolutely, and it was probably a black coat, maybe.
Yeah, true.
A black coat or a rainbow coat is like,
yeah, it makes sense, you know, thinking on it. Like, they might be the undertone, they're white, you know, because they're always doing this stupid stuff, like, aren't they? And with this stage show as well, that might be the underlying thing. Yeah, man.
Goats was a thing Victor had. You were talking about goats at one point, and I thought it was really interesting because I've been to church at some point. They're like,
I actually want to make a little admission, because I questioned my own statement last time about the goats being more difficult to call than sheep, and I have to concede that I have seen videos of a drone being able to call goats from the air, so they are as scared as sheep. The reason why I was confused about that is because I've seen goat herders in Danish television talk about goats being extremely intelligent, and maybe they are lying to, you know, look better. And I bought it, so I was wrong about that. But to save
and you rescind yourself, which is pretty admirable. But like at the same time, you make a good point. It's kind of like cats and dogs. Like dogs will chase a ball, cats will watch it bounce. There might be different ways to control an animal.
But I think that the overall difference symbolically between the goat and the sheep is that the goat is you know, capricious, like that comes from Capricorn. And it ascends to the heights of the mountains, like a mountain goat. And you don't find that modality in sheep animal life. You know, even goats in Morocco will climb trees. You know, they have this affinity for climbing stuff.
That. Yeah.
Yeah, and that, I would say, is a story about independency, the goat, versus codependency, the sheep, in symbolical terms. So if people can grasp that, I'll be happy to say that it doesn't have anything to do with the intelligence of the animal.
But I mean, the main thing is to use metaphor where metaphors do, and like I think science is, you know, that's what one of the things Guy Constantine said. Science is just poetry about metaphor. Like this is like this, so then this is like that. It's not truth; it's just metaphor. But if you take the goat's metaphor, the one that usually they're referring to is the Revelation story of like the sheep are not in the church buildings. They're acting like good people, or they're acting like good sheep. They're helping other people. The goats are like, we've built temples and praised in your name, and the shepherd's like, leave my sight, for you do not know me. And the sheep are all looking away, like hanging out with each other, and he's like, you're good. And then the sheep are like, what did we do? He's like, well, you fed me, you clothed me, and all that stuff when I was hungry. He's like, well, yeah, we did that for other people, but when did we do that for you? He's like, well, that was you know, that was for me, basically.
Yeah, I get that. But also quickly, I also want to get this this little thing out that right now there's extremely much hatred for Israel in general, and there's this if you don't say that the Jews are the culprit, you are not a real truther and you are a gatekeeper stuff.
Yeah, I get it.
I just want to, you know, give some nuance to that debate, and show that the Vatican has continually expressed that it wants to move the Holy Seat from Rome to Jerusalem. And now you see Trump being a Jesuit, having a Jesuit education, pushing the narrative of Jerusalem being the new capital and stuff like that. And we also see him on coins alongside Cyrus the Great. And Cyrus the Great is the one who built Solomon's temple, the original one, I think. And the Freemasons, who are under the Black Pope, who controls the Jesuits as well, they take a vow to rebuilding Solomon's temple. And they, you know, go on Jewish mysticism. And I think the rites of perfection, they are 19 rites in Scottish Rite Freemasonry. They are admitted to be Jesuitical inventions by Manly P. Hall in many of its books. So the Freemasons are the Jesuits, and the Jesuits are the Freemasons. So you better get used to that.
Them rituals get brought into every single aspect of it all. It'd be stinking black magic.
Yeah, you're right. And they do this dialectic between the Freemasons and the Catholic Church in general, and it's very pathetic because they are, you know, very intimately aligned. Yeah. But right now the Vatican has, you know, it has put it out in the ether continually, and we have ignored it, that it wants to move its holy place to Israel. And what it needs for that is to remove like a massive amount of real normal Jewish people in Israel that are, you know, in discontent with its government and with the Palestinian slaughter. And all it needs is for the people to hate Israel enough for the Vatican to have a moral superior standpoint to come in and solve the conflict. And when the conflict is solved, we will get the prophecy fulfilled from Albert Pike, where we use the Muslims who are ignorant and who are admittedly, Islam is admitted by a Jesuit called Cardinal B to be a Vatican creation, Pallavicini creation. And they are an army for the Pope, and they were, from its conception, meant to capture Jerusalem for the Pope. And that's what Cardinal B said.
They stepped away from the Pope. That's the thing. The Pope stepped away from them. That's the real thing. Is like there's a branch off where the Jesuits or whomever who came into the church, like the church at some point conglomerated, and then they had to leave. And this is the whole 1720 thing, right? XP 1720. We've been doing things with the Constantine's numbers, and you look into like the values of P and it being 390 or 1490 or 1720, and there's like that's a big part of the XP thing. But what they were doing was they were trying to create like another few organizations. So by taking first, like the Order of the Golden Dawn does, you know, basically make the YMCA out of the Freemason lodges. They're like, we'll put floors in for you, we'll keep some money. And then you've got the Jesuits saying, well, you know, we can't be Jesuits anymore, so they go to Belgium, right? And they're in Africa, and they've already been the dudes wearing black the longest doing intelligence into mysticism. They're like, oh, that's how you worship God? Write that down. You know, trying to figure out how Kali Yuga happens. And they've got some pretty weird stuff in their basements. But, you know, they were kicked out for like 50, 60 years. And so they had to like control these organizations. First rule of the Freemasons at that time, which I think is different now, was you'd be excommunicated. And that was that great way. It was like, okay, well, you can't be part of the other organization. Boom. You know, and that way they can have but then they'd have Freemasons building the churches and the lodges in the same towns that are controlled by the archdiocese. And the archdiocese are kind of, I think everyone is into this thing that the archdiocese kind of control the regions and the presidents and things refer to them. But, you know, that has more to do with banking, right? Because then you do with the mob, with the families that control the money that have been controlled, you know, ring finger kissing. And it has a little bit less to do with the free agents of change thing. And free agents of change is really like a lot of these dudes, the CIA, Havelock, the Hellenistic Order of the Golden Dawn, they all think that they're working for themselves. That's the whole do what thou wilt Satanist, like, like do what you want. Do you want to eat a carrot? Do you want a carrot? Do you want to get hit with a stick? And so they believe that they're working for themselves, just like any 14-year-old girl in the Church of Satan. And so they think they basically created this whole thing on their own, and that they can branch off. They're calling themselves free agents of change. But like that's what, you know, can you control power? No, like you corrupt yourself. That's how it works. Like
exactly. That's beautifully put. I was just wondering, are you seeing what are you seeing my screen share right now?
No, sorry. Can you go back? Now you are. I'm locked on you.
Oh yeah, sorry. Okay, so right now I'm just going through an extensive archive I've built, and I've sent like perhaps 30% to Martin during the time I've collected
God,
stuff.
I got mountain share.
Yeah, and it's been it's been such a pleasure sharing with you, Martin, because I from the get-go you were my inspiration for first and foremost. So I thought I owed it to you principally, and yeah, I just want to get that out there because I wanted to only give it to you because you were the best authority to give it to.
Anyway, passes everything back on to everyone, so
yeah,
it all goes wrong.
But I haven't been, I couldn't possibly send all I have. In this, I have 7,000 pictures, and they are all better than most of the normal stuff out there, I would say. And I have 10,000 more.
I'm gonna build you so that you can have like a private storage place on.
Yeah, all juice.
Yeah. That's the plan, to get this in one place digitally and then sharing it. Because
I just got TartaryNova.com or something. I forget which one, but we will put something up and it'll have all the files and it'll all be free. That'll be great.
Yeah, that would be so awesome, and so much in the Aquarian spirit, Aquarius, So
I'm trying to think of a title for my new history series. I was going to do a vote on my channel community page, but I can't think of enough to write down to ask for the vote. I don't want it too clever. I don't want it too sexy. I want it like not too quirky either. But something for the moment, which is now, like, guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I heard you wondering at some different, names, and in the Discord, someone told me to tell you, what was it?
Tartar sourced.
Yeah, Tartar.
People have been saying you should do Tartar sourced for a while, and I kind of was like, I want it, but technically, I think Martin would deserve it more.
Yeah.
Is there any meat in tartar sauce?
Well, yeah, I mean, because it's kind of an internet thing. Get the sauce on that, which is the source.
I lose 1,000 vegans for my subscription base.
You can have a vegan sauce. I think tartar sauce can be vegan, right? Isn't it? I forget.
Oh man, are you still seeing my screen, guys?
Hysteria, I like that. Hysteria. But
wait, where is this picture?
Oh yeah. I can't remember. I have so many books, man. But some of these pictures, I haven't watched them. I haven't looked at them for like months. So sometimes they are like rediscoveries for me because I forget them. But wow.
Not long after events.
We're gonna have to go through all of these at some point. Like do like a 4-hour episode of just that, or 4-parter. Because geez, 7,000. But what I've noticed is a lot of the pictures remind me of. I've been really close to Hearst Castle is in California. And they have a lot of these statues that were brought from right around the Depression and such. He went and got all these Sumerian cat statues, like Thundercat sphinxes and things from Mesopotamia and Baalbek, and that's why they're not there, because he picked them up earlier, and so they're just up there, and like it's like the only California park that makes money. You know what I mean? But like profits off of itself. But it looks like this giant compound, with a giant church castle in it. That's like, and it was architected by some of the New World Fair people in San Francisco, and it's interesting because it connects with a lot of since he had all of that stuff and he wanted to reuse it. Maybe it was more like that they were redoing Tartaria, and California has so much of the architecture.
California is so old.
Absolutely.
They made such big efforts to destroy the place, and still are.
God, it's so crazy. But the thing is, I think what we're finding even now, I'm starting to look for more, is hidden mansions, and because California's got deep woods that are hard to get to, just like the rainforest, and some of those places have, full-on lost towns, and there are ghost towns and stuff in California that are really impressive. And I think that's one of the reasons that people are going out and trying to close these parks down so much. Another reason, or burn them down.
Yeah, definitely could be. That's very Right. Oh, I just wondered, guys, if are you seeing this of the Paris Expo?
What?
Yeah. Some building work going on, but it's already there again, isn't it? So,
yeah. Look, Martin. This is apparently construction of the White
can we
City.
ever see it once from the bottom going up like a normal building? Because I'm yet to see one of them.
Yeah, exactly. And these why build all these elaborate, beautiful, never to be seen again buildings on mud, on rubble?
Right.
And what's the discrepancy between the wooden scaffolding and this marble architecture is just astounding.
Well, think of this, right? Think of this. Outside of the stone, right? Now, they built all of this world in the 1800s, guys, in America, right? And in Australia, and most of Europe, and the world, really, right? All at the same time with all these events.
Right.
Happening. Think of this. Think of this. What about the paint? What about the woodwork? What about the glass, guys? All that glass for all of them cities. What about the stone? Now, we know the stone's a bit iffy. Now, they've managed to get all of these things together. Try and find a paintworks in, say, 1830. Good luck. Because you just can't find these things happening in this sort of industry at that time, okay? So all of them things are supposed to have been arrived on muddy roads on horse and cart to build all this world. Oh, no, man. I just can't imagine that.
No, it's inconceivable, right?
What kills me is like
inconceivable.
We've got a bunch of these parks and stuff like that, and so my dad
he's
told me like, oh yeah, well, I went to this place and this other place and that other place that a guy had bought a part of that, and it, and it was the one part of it, or the other one part of it that wasn't crap. And it was, it looks completely real and it's like stone. And it was just because one guy did the right thing, but everything else was messed up. And he's like, I've heard now about 6 accounts from people saying that they had these things in the 60s and these diners and things like that. And I used to go to these parks, like Dennis the Menace Park in California was, I believe, the best example, where you've got like a mud flood zone that had completely non-electric, but like it could spin with gyroscopic wind and things, and kids would swing, and like it was insane. Like Disney could not accomplish this. And they just tore it down and said it was, unsafe. But it definitely wasn't unsafe because it's been there for 100 years and no one had ever been hurt. Well, yeah, but probably not, unless they were like doing it wrong on purpose.
Yeah, I visit that site regularly. I did. I haven't had time just lately, but it is superb. Everything on there. I do post on it occasionally.
Yeah. It's I also wanted to mention this this Facebook page. A guy named Josh from the US has been massively instrumental in creating this awesome page, and people are really digging it. So come on here and share all your amazing evidence I'm sure you have out there. We are a glad bunch of people. We don't do censorship or bullying. Trolls are having a very difficult time in here. Let me just tell you that, because people know the troll game too well to be trolled. So, yeah.
Also, I was going to show you really well. Sorry.
I just one last thing. I'm looking for it. I'm sorry for being dragging this a little bit.
No. This is cool because you get the point that there's a lot of content and a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it happens.
There are so much content. Okay, I
One
guess
book
I'll go.
Can't trace that you sent me, Victor, was that book full of Solomon's sigils. Remember that book?
Refresh my memory, brother.
That's what I can't remember the title. It was in Latin, but it was just a book where they give you the plans for Solomon's.
The probably, I would assume.
I got so many, and they're all in foreign titles, and I'd have to click one individually, and it takes hours, literally. I do spend an odd hour going through them. So gold every single time.
Well, like the most common books are like the Lesser Key of Solomon and the Greater Key of Solomon in terms of Goetia, which is like they've got like the one that conducts for the lower choir of like the armies, and then there's of the demons, and then there's like the one for the princes, and then so those are like more like elemental powers, so it's a shorter book, but the Lesser Key is the longer one.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah. Good with a quick answer from Andreas always.
Snapple cap.
Oh yeah. I have it pinned down in a minute. It was just I found this very awesome stamp collection. Yeah, here it is. Oh, it's so good, Martin. Martin, you'll love this. You'll love this so much. just wait till you see this. This is amazing. Okay, antiquity, and then Egypt. This is amazing. I was blown away when I found this morning. Yeah, Egypt. Let's see. This guy, I haven't researched this guy yet, but the assumptions you make when you see this is just like, who is this guy? He must be connected to something, someone, because he has pieced together like all the old maps, it seems, and he have, you know, drawn the original plans for pyramids and temples. It's freaking brilliant. Yeah, and it's just like, how does he get the information? I'll just get to some of the good ones. Wow, and it's colored.
Jackpot.
Yeah, this is like a gold mine, and it's just like you can go nuts thinking about the architecture.
Wow,
you know, and what reset is this? What time period is this? It seems like the pyramids are like in better shape. Pre mud flood, maybe there were like 3 or 2 mud floods in the area to, you know, maybe we're looking at so many resets we cannot comprehend it, and a broken timeline. This is the lighthouse of Alexandria remodeled, and in the night it's just amazing.
Sweet.
Yeah, and the plans for it. And how does he know this?
Don't know. I got quite a few of that. And,
well, I mean, like it just seems like it's in everybody's mythology. Like, I don't know, at least in America, it's not like you have to have been to Mason to watch National Treasure. And
no.
It really supplanted the idea of Atlantis having technology that, after a collapse or a deluge, ended up in the hands of a small group of secretive people. I mean, and it's like that's not even a secret. It's more like people want to say that's a lie, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. So, but
sweet sight.
Yeah. Oh, look at this stuff.
Oh, can you zoom and all on them?
No, I cannot zoom, unfortunately.
But you can download them as Zoom, no? Cool.
Yeah, you can download them. I did it. I did so from my phone, but
Sweet.
and these are supposed to be antiquity, so they are supposedly pre Da Vinci, right? So star forts before Da Vinci, guys.
Yeah, the big thing is the star forts before. Have you seen much of the star fort things we've been doing, Martin?
I got a bit on the go with that. I'm gonna got talking to this guy Colm. He's gonna be he's like our go-to star fort man. I'm trying to get into the grid and how it works with the water. I think this thing, you know, because they're everywhere and they're turning up like in the landscape. Like the more you look, they're in places you wouldn't imagine now as well.
Yeah.
Pinpointing them absolutely everywhere. So it's part of this one society. I don't know which reset it was, guys, but they were way advanced. Way advanced. I can't really attribute star forts to Tartarians either. I can't really attribute them to anyone out there. You know, the alchemists got more of a grip on them than anyone. The people of the 16th, 17th centuries. But that's they rediscovered them, as you know, Victor. You know, we better make better understanding of the star forts and to utilize them. Maybe we should make military purpose of them when they found them in survivor times.
1750, right, Martin?
Polish, you were there. It was one of your books, I think. Yeah. So as John Strews was, and that told us a whole bunch of this time. Yeah. The whole world is in turmoil and in events. Every port he goes in is either an earthquake had just happened, a tsunami, a volcano. There's this apocalyptic state. It's like a Mad Max everywhere he's going. It's just at that time.
Yeah, it's so mind-boggling. It's all coming out now. It's like, and you said in your recent video, Martin, that you cannot believe that you missed all this, but I think maybe
I can't imagine I missed Flat Earth. I can't imagine I missed all its history. Now the weirdest thing is now, right, guys, and I just don't know why it is, but I don't watch television, obviously, but my son had it on earlier, and even in the adverts, you know, they're putting in like really distinctive mudflood buildings and magging up on antiquitech on church roofs for just these adverts now. And they've never done this before. And it's like, because that's out there now, it's like they're picking up elements and it's preparing. It's like they're preparing, you know, the people for this this historical, like all history's been a fake, and we're, you know, I can't imagine they want the reality of the EM cycle out, but I think that would be one of the best things that could ever happen to the human peoples, because it will make them, you know, cherish one another more and make the whole thing work. We're going to work together and enjoy the time, you know, before, you know, and even find out ways of fixing or even weathering these cyclical EM events, which are definite and assured. So, you know, this is what they're doing, the control, so they can count the shots with that, and they know it because they rub our faces in it with their coding. So how this is going to spin is, it feels like this is a big disclosure, whereas why I never noticed it is beyond me, Victor. The changes, it's, you know, I don't go with Mandela effect. It was in my comments this morning. I told the guy straight. He said, "Do you think it's CERN?" I said, "Mate, CERN is a money soaker like NASA."
Yeah.
Okay? I don't anything from there. I'm not going to believe.
So agreed, brother. Agreed. Yeah. Also, it's the admission that they are building bigger CERNs now is just a subtle admission that the original CERN was just nothing. Think about it, guys.
Yeah, no, I have thought about it, and it is just like they're saying it's nothing, but you know, extending that idea of what they're doing, and sending people off on theoretical.
I'm not. I won't say that you're wrong. But I will say I'm not convinced of that argument yet. I get the.
No, I think it's akin to that. The changes are akin to that. I don't think science.
I get the feeling that the multi-billion-dollar projects are actually an investment in something, but that they are into like the Kali Yuga. They're like into chaos, destruction, and mayhem.
They are. Well, they showed us they are with their outward projections, and you know what they got outside their forecourt, and the names of their buildings and their opening ceremonies at Devil's Gate, etc. They certainly want the people to know that.
Yeah, I've been around too much of it to think it's just bullshit. I mean, excuse me, but like, you know what I mean? I think
money's in there, but what could they be doing? Just farming antimatter traps?
But I don't think it's just smoke and mirrors. I think there's a little bit hubbubaloo to it. I don't know. Well, maybe that's just a superstition I have.
It feels a bit alchemical to me, but I'm not, you know, I don't need.
I believe in alchemical.
How do you know? They never
did. If it's not alchemical, then what the heck is it? You know. I wanted to really.
How do you know the alchemical never happened with the elixir of life, the philosopher's stone, with these homunculus that they were making? How do you know that they never made them? The homunculus. You know, all of these are like in a 1,000,001 books as a reality, and they're telling you they are. Only what, at the very least 200 years ago, they'll stop like around 1800, or this alchemical thinking era. Still like echoes a little bit later.
Yeah, they got really upset when I declared my major as alchemy. Like the teacher laughed at first, but when he realized, he was like, "Oh." But like the thing is, like they really do still do it all the time, and it's all they do really. You look into the 19th century to the 20th century, what you have is the creation of the chemistry, and the chemistry is just the new lingo, like you know.
Sure.
But I was going to show really quickly. I want to show a little bit of the Sealandia stuff, because we were talking about star forts, and so our friend Mike, who's 13th Monkey Ultra Duck, has come up with like a bunch of these maps. We're trying to figure out how to put them onto a flat by a polar projection. Earth, whatever makes people comfortable.
And it shows a sort of grid. There seems to be like a wall of defense. You know, like the dew line you get these days on the northern perimeter above North America. Asia had one too during the Cold War, which they regard to as the dew line, which is sort of dew, D-E dew. It's a defense line for the nuclear bombs. Apparently they were going to pass it. So they got a sort of version of that, which is like fortress Europe for World War II, but in the shape of star forts. And it's mostly in Europe. There's very few in Britain. London, you think, would have the biggest one of all, because it's a powerhouse, but it has a tiny one in its docks, and it's not surrounded at all. Wales has hardly any, but it has 650 castles, weirdly. So there's something really going on with that as well.
There's something weird about the way that the star. If you've looked into Atlantis, story of it being rings, and you look into the rivers and the Dow and the way things work in Holland, where they divert paths not just for water but for roads. They're notorious for roads, like that don't have to divert flow. So there's a very good understanding of the Dow that comes from these star forts. I think that's what we're finding, is that it's figured out a way that over time, naturally, if you just had a wrong pattern, water will bend it to the natural pattern. So this is designed to push the water at angles for actual like kinetic energy, but also to keep it around for like a lot longer, clearly, because it's still here and everywhere. But yeah, the thing that you were saying earlier about like where to tie it to, our thing now is Sealand, because you were saying alchemy. the soul in sail of the same root word as Z, like Zealand. And so what we found is there's an entire thing with this deluge period, which is like very long, you know, and that's where some of the Viking stories, or really all of the Polynesian boat stories, and basically everyone has famous boatsman stories that like, and that comes from the Zealand period, Zealandia. And it's weird because there was one in Discoland, Greenland, and you know, Australia, in Java, in South America, and we're starting now in Taiwan. We found one. So we did the in Taiwan group in our Discord. We have this thing about, I don't know if you're able to see. Are you able to see this on the thing or no? Is it not able? Yeah. Okay. It looks like it's not though. I'm gonna change.
Well, I can see sort of delta. That's a bit bigger on Philip's sort of feed.
Let me switch this to my entire screen because I was afraid it wasn't sharing properly in the.
Oh yeah, good to be sure.
Yeah. So in our Discord group, which it's like the Xirtus Discord, we'll have a link to. We've got a bunch of different pages because there's people from all over the world, and so we're going through different zones. And one of them was Taiwan and Formosa, and so Taiwan used to be called Dutch Formosa. And so we've got all this information about the star fort there called Zealand Star Fort, and in the Zealand Star Fort, you know, which is actually the name they have there in Tainan, I think. There's like, you know, everything you want to see. Like Tainan has tunnels, they have stories of giants, they have rivers, they have Aboriginal people that have been conquered. They have, you know, this is the Star Fort that they have. It's still there. I think this one is the golden, you call it like the Golden Empire one or something. Fort Aim King. Yeah. But you know, here look at it. It's got, you know, everything you want. It's got the cannon, the gold cannon, and there's water around it. It's got a dam so that it's obviously, you know, this has lasted a long time if the water is just still going around it for hundreds of years at least, if not more. It's like, seems like if it can last hundreds of years, it's indefinite. And, you know, let me ask you guys, how do you feel about bricks? Do you like those bricks? I like those bricks.
I love bricks, and they are a key to, you know, going out from your apartment, house, whatever, and just go out and study bricks, like in your surroundings. I find in my area in Aarhus, we have yellow bricks and we have red bricks. So that's definitely a clue.
What's that about? With Yellow Brick Road, I wonder. With
yeah, Martin, you should go to Serotonin's channel. She has a video about yellow bricks.
Well, I was thinking about it last night. It must be like, with that film being the most famous like of all time, you know, and there's loads of like clues, you know, with the wizard behind, you know, running reality behind his veil, etc. And he's just
originally in the book, it was silver slippers on the yellow brick road.
So
yeah, silver slippers. We'll put the ruby slippers in. Come on, but before that, it was silver, and so she ends up. And if you land in the desert, you die. And then the shoes just end up there, lost in the desert outside of Oz. And so Oz, you know, I think we've done this at one point, like New York and OZ, so NY, like YZ, NO, you know, also LA. So you've got in between LA and NY is OZ. And so OZ is a Thelemitic term. And Theosophist Blavatsky actually wrote this Russian family getting trapped in a tornado that ended up in this land in between realities. And so that's what it was based on. So, you know, Frank Baum did some pretty great, he was a Theosophist and a Blavatskyite, but like one of the things.
I don't know much about him, really.
If I ever did anything useful, I don't know, at NASA, it was like looking at molecules, because they had an indexing machine. So I used scanning electron microscope. And we would put together these different pieces of material and scan them, see what they were made of and what amount was how things were bonded, right? And so you get ceramics or glass or whatever. So if you're looking into the different mineral materials, color has less to do. You might think gold. Well, there's lots of minerals that are not gold that are yellow. And gold itself, the Mayans would use sputtering to make it so small that they had blue gold, because the particles were so small, the par density shot light off of it at a different rate.
Andreas, try to Google electrum.
Electrums, you know, I mean, of course you do. Yeah, well, that's the key to it all.
Try Andreas on the Wikipedia. Electrum.
That's what covered your pyramids in antiquity.
Right. This is there's a big story about in September 11, 2001, them pouring gold.
I think they were farming monotype gold as well somewhere in the past. I think it's all been about the gold. For not for them purposes, what they say were wealth. It's because of the miracle properties and the all of these various incredible facts about gold. You know,
it's not DNA, man. I mean,
the atomic changes as well, you know, that come with it. So I feel that it's for conductive purposes because it's one of the best.
I've had weird experiences with eating metals, though. Also, I mean, I should say, like, because gold makes you.
I've drunk it. Gold water. I used to drink it when I was at sea, and it's just got a little gold leaf in there. It's really quite beneficial as well.
Totally. That's the thing, though, is it can change your consciousness. Like, I know silver.
I believe so.
Silver can be connected to Saturn, and so that
gold with me, a meteor, magnets, that works. But yeah, I'm a year. That's to pay the ferryman. All sailors have them.
My dad demands I do that for him. If he passes, I got to do the ferryman thing.
Got it, mate. You're going to be really gutted when it comes to it. Otherwise, if you ain't got payment.
So you had said something about Bacchus, and I got really fascinated because that connects us to this cult story of Saturn being serial, and you know, Dionysus being this androgynous figure who replaced the bearded figure.
Oh yeah, totally effeminate looking. It's androgynous dude when he's younger, but then he goes into this sort of warty, twisted creature when he's a bit older. If it's the same incarnation, which I'm not sure of, they're both Dionysus, Bacchus. So
yeah, and that's my point about
but he's Jupiter as well.
Well, Bacchus is son of Jupiter.
Son of Jupiter.
But he's son of the devil then.
Well, so it's an interesting thing because you said dis pater, and you think about dis pater means the father. And another, it does also just mean the, but the is also a weird word because it means everything that's not, and has to do a lot to do with duality. So it's
exactly
father,
Theo,
and it's a big
Theo.
Part. Sorry,
it's another word for God is Theo, and that's the. And
I sailed on a ship for years called the Captain Theo.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, so I was reading into it a bit, and I had some interesting stuff about the antediluvian Gnostics. So the Gnostics talk about before the flood, there was a kind of like a science mythology theory, like of this last extinction, and it drew with the parallels of consciousness of, you know, animals that were vegetarian that were giants, which, you know, we get into that with the dinosaur myths that people talk about, and then also the Leviathans being these giant friggin' mushrooms, which is kind of interesting because you've got the idea of the mushroom cult.
No, definitely, yeah. It's still alive. There's no life. The biggest species on Earth is a mushroom now. Outside of the Great Barrier Reef, which is an organic structure, which is the biggest living organism. If you look it up, you'll find out that it covers a couple of states of America. I think it goes across Arizona, and it's a fungus, and it's one organism, so it's one plant. So it's a Leviathan, and it's a mushroom.
And guys, I have a connection to that because there is this very extremely, it's a well-known academic work. It's by a guy called John M. Allegro, and it's about the fertility cults and the mushroom paired with Christian symbology. And the only etymological roots he uses to explain the history of the words are Sumerian. And we find out from the black sheep researcher that there is the Sumerian god called Anso, which is basically a griffin.
Yeah, it could well be him. It could well be Anso.
Yeah, it could be Anso, and it could
it could be. I've been looking at this guy called Black Sheep Researcher. I've been listening to him quite in depth. He seems to have a really good take on all of this.
Yes.
And I looked at it for myself, and you know what I've got saved on this particular character, and it does seem so as well. Yeah, it seems to be Anso. So there is a link there as well.
And it ties in with Scythia as a synonymous term with Tartaria, because
it's definitely onto something, 100%.
We found a map, Martin, where Tartaria was mentioned as a synonymous term for Scythia. So Scythia equals Tartaria according to a map.
Well, and it'd be really fascinating if we can prove this correlation, because
it's an actual distinction, guys, between Tartary and Tartaria. It's got a Russian lady flipping out saying my video was hideous. What a title!
There are people called the Tatars, and the Tatars are a people in a Slavic region that kind of are the, you know, I mean, but that's kind of like saying that anybody. The thing that's funny is it's not.
They look like North American Indians, some of them.
Mushrooms are not just, think about how we're not just family trees. We're social networks. So it's more than just like how big a mushroom is. It's like how many people is a mushroom and how many people is a feeling in and a disease in and all these things. So a thing can be spread out among you can have a number of different consciousnesses in you, and you can be a part of a number of different things simultaneously that have a certain amount of crossover but have a certain amount of individuality. And a lot of people don't they don't like think about that. But like what Tartaria has that might be similar. We're looking into Baalbek, we're looking to Scythia. Scythes, we're looking into this idea of feminism or some sort of female empire. Like at least we have women that were running Baalbek.
Why not?
Really interesting about women running things, because if you have men that have to go out and do stuff, women have to administer this like huge system, this economy is running of this house.
Well, look at the way it's all male patriarchy now. You know, the whole thing is the whole paradigm's man's world. You know, but was it always that way?
But then there's the whole thing with
Andreas, I like how you with the female energy, because sorry guys to interrupt. I like how you put it with the female energy of the economy, because economy is from a Greek word called oikos, which is basically household.
Yeah, housekeeping.
And housekeeping. So the word will tell you how to order your life, basically.
And I will go a little bit further with that and say, you know, if you look for like Pict words in Gaelic words in Saxon English, you're gonna find them in one place, in the kitchen, because that's the one place they couldn't come up with a new word for the thing. You know what I mean? You might find another word. But that's an interesting thing about the economy. It means it was so inherent that they couldn't come up with a new word to describe it. They had to use their own word.
Oh, yeah, right. I looked at the etymology of the word Finnish yesterday, like Finn, things ending, and it was only up until 1755 it was used as a term for to end or to terminate or to die. And before that period, it was used for the word for boundary, border, limits.
That's so weird, because
there's what we're reading, I believe.
There's this weird South Park episode where South Park gets in contact with some aliens, and the aliens run this intergalactic space test on South Park, and they have to pass this criminal test. But basically, they all nuke Finland, and they all like it's like this conspiracy to nuke Finland, and then they lie about it afterwards.
They blame Finland for everything. Yeah.
A war with Canada and America in I think what it was Simpsons, wasn't it? Or was it
South Park? Blame Canada. And there's some weird blame Canada. It's still Canada.
I'll go for Cartman for world leaders.
Right? Like they make these like TV shows we watch, and they act like they're us, but they're not. Like that's kind of like that's kind of weird. Being imposters. I don't know. I wish they would just be themselves, because like they've got that good gravy and stuff on their French fries.
Yeah.
What about also, you were talking about Dispater. Have you seen Liberpater?
Oh yeah, that's the female counterpart, right?
No, Liberpater is the pater and mater, mother and father.
Oh yeah, of course.
Liber is the cult associated with Bacchus for free speech, because there was Bacchus and then there was Lacus, because the BVD were all confused. So at the time that Bacchus and Bacchus were being spoken of, Bacchus, Dacus, and Lacus. I mean, a hickory dickory dock kind of world. And then the thing about Bacchus is he took over the fire cult from Hestia. And so Hestia was the goddess of the fire altar. So, you know, anyone who has a fireplace, and, you know, they make them illegal in California. So
that's very interesting. You would say the fire cult, because there was a fire cult in Persia that was very significant in history, the Zoroastrians. And according to this reverend guy from the mid-1800s that Santos Bonacci talks about a lot of times, I have his book, and he talks about also the Jupiter stuff as Jupiter's being Satan, but he also talks about what was the thing you mentioned, Andreas? Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
The Liber Patis, or the
the fire cult, and the Zoroastrians fathered this Dagon society, but before that they were fire worshippers, and the people undertook a fire baptism. So a child would be held in over smoke instead of going through a water baptism. So there are two principal cults in antiquity, and one was distinctly Persian, and there was the Phoenician side of it, those who were in Tyre, and they were a moon cult. That's why you have the Taurus symbol in Tyre.
Right.
And that's also the cult that fathered the Bible. But the thing is that these two distinct groups came together, as I talked about the marriage between the Vatican and the Venice is kind of like an add-on to an age-old relationship, and perhaps a little bit of competition between the fire cult and the water cult.
Oh, there's definitely a competition. So the story is, according to Dionysus, the dinosaur Dionysus, according to the Bacchus cult, that Hestia, who was the altar goddess, who was on top of Mount Olympus, had to give up her rather simple wooden throne so that avoid a apocalyptic civil war starting in Mount Olympus. And so she's still there. She is in the fire pit in Mount Olympus. I don't know if you guys have seen Xirtus Sings the Blues, but it's a free open source movie, and I'm pretty sure we can cut pieces of it if we want. I'm going to probably put a piece up about it. But it's all of the history. Whoa, there's like three.
Whoa, Martin. You have a double connection.
Dude, there's two Martins. There's an alien Martin.
No, my computer's gone to shit, mate. Hang on.
Like that was your Mandela effect, and then boom, there's two of you.
No, it's like in Rick and Morty when time splits, mate. It's like in Rick and Morty.
My other computer died on me. I opened too many windows.
That kind of scared me. That was funny.
No, don't be scared. Don't be scared. No one, I'm here. Okay.
But two of you was a little excited.
Whoa! Right. Imagine if you had like a twin brother, Martin, doing the exact same as you. That would be cool.
That would have been a little Total Recall for me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, doppelganger, another me. I don't think the world could handle another me, guys.
No.
Massive truth.
You've got a mini me, I'm sure. But like, so Xirtus Sings the Blues is all about trial by fire, because she was taken by the king of Sri Lanka across the land bridge when it still existed. And this is a funny thing about this movie. It talks about these Indian, not even historians, it's the Indian people, give their accounts of what they remember being told. Three different versions of the same story. And they're, because it's thousands of years old. They'd be like, I heard it like this. But the whole thing is that she gets kidnapped. She didn't do anything wrong. But, the King Rama's friends are like, dude, you can't go back to her. Like, what if she did? And she's like, all right, well, I'll do a trial by fire. And then she does it. And then Rama's like, okay, but like, what if it didn't work? So maybe I'll do another trial by fire. And then she's like, how about this? If I'm innocent, let the earth just swallow me up and let me go. And it does. And then Rama's like, I lost her. Like every good story about a man and woman.
It's like Davy Jones and Calypso.
Yeah,
actually.
But I'll put a link in the Discord for that, and also on the thing, because Xirtus Sings the Blues is a really good account of Hestia and the story that led up to Bacchus. Because, and I keep saying Bacchus because I lived in Argentina, and just like to where they, the Roman thing is pretty big down there, and it's interesting. Yeah. They made us in school study as the Greek thing. And the Greek thing isn't actually that much more accurate than the Roman thing. So it's funny that there's such a Havelockian obsession with Hellenism,
So true. Martin, do you remember that reference where they talk, Bailey talks about,
Alice Bailey?
Had every,
it's contemporary of Benjamin Franklin. He was writing for Voltaire. He was one of the, the people to listen to at this period, I think. Yeah, which time? What was he saying? What did I miss?
Martin, that one where he talks about there was this empire at the foot of the mountains of Caucasus called ancient Tartary, and that it was a highly scientific nation.
Yeah, we took our sciences from them.
Yeah, and that the Greeks and the Romans would have all to create were it not for Tartary.
Exactly.
Bailey says that, and that was a real kicker. I think I have it saved. It's like one of those golden nuggets you have to, you know, save and take pictures of pictures. And
yeah, I still have it. I still have Bailey's, and I had some more stuff on him as well. I'm not sure if it was from you or someone else, but yeah, I did a follow up on it. I should have done it deeper, but yeah, this man
stories, right? Women tell the stories. It's like you got at least in history, you've got, and it makes a lot of sense then where Tartary and Scythia would have a kind of a matriarchal, and like in Africa, there's a lot of examples in indigenous societies still, and actually our own, really, we have a queen, or well, you do, but like, but we got this idea anyway of women being the educators, the delineators, the bringers of this culture, the originators of these terms that are in our new culture that come from an older culture. They're bringing these words with them. So there's a lot to be said for looking for the link between it being a feminine culture, a feminine civilization of record keepers and maybe librarians. You know?
No. Yeah, that brings
librarians always women, are they mostly on this day and age, aren't they?
These days, I mean, I've known some cool dude librarians, but I mean, you know, there's also
they are the real gatekeepers, because think about it again with the word mum, it means also to keep silent, to be mum, and the mummy.
Yeah, mum's the word.
Yeah, mum's the word.
Mafia comes from mum, and it means to be also great. Mickle used to be grand, you know.
Andreas, you remember last night with the big and the great?
Yeah, does anybody know the Danish word for great?
Maybe
Google.
It's not Victor, but it's Bugge.
No, it's Norwegian old word for great or big is Bugge. Yeah.
So your parents thought you were a great victory, and you know.
I kind of like that. So when Trump says that we have to do things bigly, I kind of like look myself in the mirror and say like, who are you, Trump? Use my name.
I have a friend named Donald, and he has a hard time at Thanksgiving, trust me, you know, but we all get by. But so is there another thing? We had a list of things that you were that we were going to mention. Is there anything that you want to go into your books, Martin? You've got some stuff that you could show?
Oh yeah.
Well, I haven't done actually much today. I mean, not all day, but I'll show you what I have been looking into, which is quite interesting.
Please do.
Sort of connected with what we're talking about. So if we just bring it up a second, could. People going live all over the shop. So I have been exceptionally busy, Bunny. You see, it's been ridiculous.
Oh, Martin, I can't wait for your next episode.
It's half prepared. It's half sort of written up. There's a bit more to go with it.
Is it true that it's about the theaters now, the Colosseums and stuff?
Yeah, sure, brother. That's where we're going.
Yeah.
Man, I've been like 3 Colosseums in not Italy. I've been like Croatian Colosseum, one in Morocco.
Yeah, I've been to the Colosseum a couple of times in Rome.
There's so many other Colosseums they don't talk about. That's the thing.
I know why. Because it's the same old scenario with these things, guys. Is when the survivors come in, they think, well, what were we going to do with these? These are a good idea. And in that case, they're just going to turn them into what they thought at the time was Circus Maximus. You know,
right?
This.
I mean, there's clearly crazy
circuses. So there's my Chemical Brothers tickets. I'm very, very happy about. But when I was walking this morning, I took a photograph of a local mile marker that's close to where I live. Now, all of the properties along here are mud flooders. They're supposed to be, 1880s. Right, you can't get photographs at all of any of them being built. I've looked. So this is like, literally a mile from where I live. But the date on it is 1835. I was wondering, because it was a mud flood affected community, are we looking at the top of something there? Is it going deeper? These are all over the city. In fact, they're all over Britain. They're called mile markers. There's older ones as well, which they go further back. I mean, I don't even know how old they are. I just think that they're sort of what they call Roman. So have you been that's my rabbit. Have you been looking into what Lee published the other day, these things? Have you seen these?
Yeah, I've seen them, Martin. They freak me out.
What do you think?
They freak me out, and I came to think about or rethink all the spiritists' obsession in France. 1780s, 1760s. and also the Jesuit connection. And the Jesuits were so powerful in France. They are basically French in heart.
I've been looking at the mechanisms for these devices. I can't imagine in a million years, Victor, them building these things to do nothing. Just look at the technology involved in this. What, to do nothing? To do a camera trick.
And
the funny thing is, doing a camera trick can actually be connected to making something real. That's the if you've seen like Rob Ashandon does like a thing where someone has an arm removed and they have glass and they look at it and they incur the sensation, and the sensation is the most important part.
You know why television was invented, don't you? John Logie Beard, the Scotsman that invented or was attributed to inventing television, was a psychic, or his wife was used to run one of these seances or spiritualist. She was a spiritualist. She'd have spiritualist meetings, and they used to meet in his house. So telepathic. Telly. It's in the title. Absolutely. He thought that he could project spirits through a machine. So
well, I mean, it's an electric machine.
Yeah. They turn up. Electrics go to poo, and they seem to be, attributed to everything. It's attributed to electric anyway. You telling me all our mechanism for nothing, guys?
No, I wouldn't tell you that. But
the thing is that this stuff can be done without chips, and that's kind of the point. You could take a spirit and you could see them somewhere else. You have a real person somewhere and you could see them somewhere else. That is the beginning of telepathy. The difference is when television came out, they started sending exact bits. They're saying this is a dot and this is not a dot. And the relative form of
this is holography, isn't it?
Let me just, guys, I should show you something. There's this. Okay, whoever is screen sharing. If you could just Google the movie The Illusionists.
What is it?
The Illusionists.
Oh, right.
It's a movie with Edward Norton.
I've seen it. Is it with and it's Tesla's in it?
No, it's not that one. It's not that one, but it's very try movie.
This one?
No, not that one. Try typing Illusionist movie. Edward Norton or something.
Oh, Edward Norton, that one. Yes.
And it's funny because Edward Norton's really on the outs after the Weinstein
thing. Fight Club is best ever, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, what are we looking at?
In that movie, there is this scene. He has to make the Duchess disappear to run away with her as a hidden love plan for them. And he makes this trick where he fakes her death, and then in the months afterwards, he makes these illusions, these apparitions of her coming
David
into...
Bowie's last role is in this, isn't it? Oh, no, it's not. It's not this one, no. No, I know what
he's around a little longer. Did you see his, of course you did, I guess, but his music video, And the Day, and the Next Day.
Yeah.
That's that's all about doing a seance, because it's like but it's one of those like Christian Scientist style seances. And Chuck Palahniuk book Survivor. Have you read the Fight Club? Have you read his other book Survivor? It's all about a guy from Clearwater Survivor cult member who misses the day everyone dies. They all die and he misses it, and then so he ends up just going about his life and becoming famous, and like doing like psychic stuff, and I don't know. It's pretty nuts, but like I don't want to ruin it, so I'm trying not to spoil it. That's all you get.
Did you see this? This turned up this morning. The Picatinny engine set the face and fry. Have you seen these practice?
Yeah. I've seen this.
Is that a reality?
I've seen this happen. Yeah.
What about that then? Do you think that one's a reality? Oh, excuse me. Vaporizing human beings.
I've seen them do this actually on the road in California.
You've got to be joking.
Yeah, in LA and 405, like when they have like people racing down the road, they will electrocute your car and shut it off. They
really?
Oh yeah, they do it. Like you can go on YouTube and see it.
Maybe that's coming.
Like 405 is nuts though, because you'll have these like Persian princes that are like go crazy, that are like they're illegal street racing vehicles, and they can't be arrested. All they can really, so they have these things sometimes to like catch and release them.
Yeah, well, I've got millions piled up. I just want to send you endless amounts of pictures, which you've seen already.
Oh, that's good, because perhaps some of Andreas' subscribers haven't.
Yeah, no, it's very useful to see, see the new stuff. I'm pretty interested in talking about EMF, I guess. Like,
I've got stuff compiled, but it's all in my file. Like, what I do is anything that I'm preparing, like the bits, I'll put them in one specific pile. But I've been halfway through it last night. It's just ready for the next one, which will be probably tomorrow now, if I'm honest. But yeah, it's incredible stuff to come out. It's just nuts. It's just nuts. And now it's all working together as well. Everyone with their different little ideas and the think tanks out there. It's just, there's a few unusual ideas.
So let's get into, let me see if I can get into the page about EMF, because I was doing some research into, if you go to IEE, that's the wrong page. How do I, that?
I'll be watching The Illusionist later now. I'll have to watch that now.
Yeah, I think you'd be intrigued thinking about the scene where, okay, so Edward Norton, he has faked her death, and then he brings her from another place into a live audience in this close, and he does these things with like his hands, making out that he's doing something like a mental projection through his, I don't know, brain.
It's actually like he's doing it, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe there are clues, and you will see throughout the whole movie that he makes these very crafty illusions, and later it is revealed that it's mechanics, all of it. Somehow it's mechanical what he does, but he makes these natural things. He makes like this orange tree grow, and there's an orange growing like in front of your eyes, like spit up. And later you see how that was all done by wheels. And
I can't even remember that.
It's amazing.
And they talk about that stuff in Shakespeare's time. They did ghost projections the same way. And so they had a lot of them that were doing that. I just was looking up, though, electro fields and cavities, because, this actually correlated with the thing when you were talking about EMF, like months ago. You kind of blown open the whole scene. It correlates, obviously, with, like, the future of cellular microwave radiation, and it's interesting that we're getting to a point now where it's
coming out because David died only this week. I've been waiting. I've been thinking, when's this rat going to start talking about it?
Right. Yeah.
Only this week. He's got some guy in. Oh, big revelation. We should be worried about 5G. It's like this guy needs to really catch up, man.
I mean, all this. You ever feel physical pain or like worse when you're listening to like the white noise around David Icke? Even, you know what I mean? I mean.
What do you mean?
I get like a dizzy feeling, like he's actually sucking energy through the monitor, or like when I saw him in Santa Monica.
Don't worry about that. He's operating on different levels. So
I get like exhausted from him. Like,
are you outright calling Ike an energy vampire?
I mean, he might just be like.
Don't ever cross me, brother, or ever bump into me.
I won't ridicule the idea. It's probably true.
Nothing anymore.
All I know is, man, when I get really exhausted from something, like I question it. But so
no.
There's this idea of
it's
densities.
Just crazy.
There's ideas of densities that absorb energy, right? And it's a big part of what cellular radiation is. Like that's how photovoltaics work. That's how piezoelectricity work. That's kind of how Newton's theory of corpuscles work. That there is, wave particle duality. And, electromagnetism is the only thing that we have. I mean, we don't really have, gravity is a cute word and all. I mean, I don't really.
Well, there is an active force with magnetic acceleration.
But like, EM and the Alpha Band, have you seen in Serial Experiments Lane, which is a really nuts cartoon anime from the, this is not the right thing.
Oh, well, yeah.
That was an accidental plug for a cool band, but the extremely low frequency and the very low frequency band, otherwise known as the ELF and the VELF band, are what produce so much energy that it completely controls our perception. We have this buzzing around us all the time, and we know it out.
It's been all over the internet for years. About it here, they call it the hum, the Bristol hum. If you look it up on Google, and it's been registered here since the mid-70s. I've used it all my life. If you actually tap into it, it don't go away and drives you nuts. So you're
Well, I mean, Scientologists talk about if you get that information, you can't sleep at night, and you become aware of things that'll make you seem crazy in society, right? Like that's a big part of this. And then people talk about tinnitus, that being connected with CERN events or with ELF events or with. But one of the concepts is that it's more correlated with bringing this energy to our minds psychically, like you were saying, because again, all of this technology was invented by friggin' psychic luminary, at least dudes who wanted to be like John D. And so their whole plan was to connect us into a giant brain. And it also explains another side of war as being a psychology of producing a left and right hemisphere, or producing like a male and female duality by trying to produce as many neurons as there are people and vice versa, that you can then attune them by giving them mass hypnosis. So when people talk about psyops or whatever, it might just be that every time you listen to any noise that's not at the human frequency, that's part of this augmentation. So that and even laugh tracks are probably a psyop, because it just teaches you to laugh at the right, to emote the same way as everybody else.
Probably, yeah.
But there are experiments called the bring cake experiments. And what they did was the military said, okay, cool. You got all this cool stuff. We bought it for you. Now, what are you going to do with it to make us money or make us impressed? And then they're like, well, check it out. We can say something and people will hear it and in their minds. Okay, well, let's try it. So they said, bring cake. And they were thinking it would work within the building. But it actually worked beyond the military base for like 20 miles or 100 miles around the area. People were like, my wife made cake, and I felt like I had to bring my boss cake for work. And everyone, like, why does everyone open up their lunch boxes on these towers of cake in them? And it's because they figured out how to send an image. Now, only that working for the word cake, but that gets really into sigil magic and into symbols and into
how they could expand upon that is just unimaginable. If it's advanced and they got that sort of idea, who knows what they might implant when we're asleep at night.
Well, you know, because you've watched, you have a kid, right? Have you ever seen Boobas?
Yeah, no, I know about it, though.
It's an alchemical show for babies.
I can't look at them. They're worse than the Teletubbies.
Yeah, well, it's more is the right way. Yeah, it's worse. It's like, but it's alchemical. It has to do with alignment shifts. It has to do with chemical control of the mind and of the meditation. It has to do with the tree of life. God, what was the other crazy one? Mickey's Playhouse. So Disney has this crazy show where you go inside of Mickey's mind, and it's all digital, like CGI. And yeah, they just do these. It's just like these weird symbols open up over their minds. They don't really talk, and then they just say 1, 3, 4, 8, 13, 13. 13, 6, 6.
Mind control.
Things like that, and it's like, okay.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very scary.
Doing with the kids to these things, so evil.
Right. But so one of the things that was fascinating to me was looking into how this, exists, because it happened before. So you had done some stuff on electromagnetic frequency and chainmail. And I wondered if you'd seen anything about the ancient Egyptian women's fabrics, because it looks like it's like got metal in it. I forget the name of it now.
Right.
Asuit, I think it's called Asuit. And so these are now silks, but originally they were all metal. They're all made of silver and gold that was woven. I think it's called.
I think these Tartarian hats I posted about on my last video, Tartarian Beauty. I think that they're working on, with this human resonance to just come up just now. I think there's an element to that working with these church machines, with the I think the EM was much different back then, so I think there's definite elements of that. And I'm wondering if these big hats, rather than them being hiding elongated skulls, as loads of people are saying, maybe they're for like the betterment or well-being of the people, like some sort of transmitters for orgone energy. I think that's what's going on. I went into Japanese Tataria this morning. I saved them on my Pinterest, and they are crazy, like Antiquitech devices with these things hanging down. It's all in purest metals as well. Kind of thinking it's just for the betterment of mind and body. Because look how creative they all are. Look how their society is. We're missing something really big. We must be the stupidest reset that we've had yet. I'm not saying they might have had as daft as this before, but I doubt it.
You're so right, Martin. Now, also the hats, Their Serotonin has an excellent video on the top headers as well, and UAP is getting into it. But I like the idea of the mad headers, and then they went mad because of heavy metal poisoning. But why were the heavy metals in the hats? Maybe to plug out.
It's attributed to the death of Napoleon as well, because they said that he had high amounts of lead in him, and the place that he was refuge to, Alba, had lead paint on the wall. So it's all tied in with our narrative with this lead. You know, the people on the Franklin expedition in Hunt of the Northwest Passage, you know, they died, all went missing. They find them a few years later, autopsy, and they said, oh, they all had lead poisoning from the tins that they were living on. Well, does that make sense? That they have food tins that are going to kill them?
Well, it's the same with asbestos, Martin. Can you tell us about asbestos?
Well, it seems like all the most of the asbestos mines are in sort of Russia, aren't they, or like Uzbekistan or these sort of Stan countries. And I've seen a lot of interviews by people who are licking the stuff, saying I've been down the mine since I was a 14-year-old man, while they're drinking their vodka, and they're like 93. So it seems that it might have been a bit of a published or a negative smear campaign during the Cold War to stop sort of asbestos products, which all come back to specific asbestos from Russia. So it might have been.
I'm going to look into that. That's kind of interesting. I mean, California had so much asbestos in our brakes and things like that. And so people it's interesting that they got rid of it.
Same with the lead paint, brother, right? Now it blocks EM, right?
Yeah.
It does block EM. So what did they do in the 1970s? They say, you're all going to have brain damage. We've got to get it off your walls.
Yeah.
This great
there's plenty of other things you could die from, so it'd be hard to prove. It's true.
So they're getting the ME through. I think this is partly why they took the railings during World War II away, which the idea is, right, they were using it for the war effort to build battleships and tanks, right? But the fact remains that none of these railings of all the British cities, hundreds and thousands of tons of good steel from the Victorian era, don't arrive to the steelworks. There's no record of it. In fact, there's witness statements saying all of it got dumped in the Thames River outside London. When there's a world war raging and they need tanks and armaments, does this make sense? So 1950, television comes out just in time for 1952 for the Queen's coronation. Take a look at that on YouTube for code. When they're given the orb and they do this voodoo thing over their head and they put the crown on. And while she's putting the crown on, nobody can wear a hat. They all have to take them off while she puts hers on. Something in that as well. Really weird.
Yeah, there's something in it, man. Because recently there's been Jack and the Beanstalk movies. And in the last scenes of the movies, you see in the movie that whoever has the crown of the British Parliament controls the giant, like mind control thingy. So it's like a device of some sort. And
I never thought about the mind control aspect. I like it.
Yeah, and it shows you in the movie that whoever wears the crown can command the giants, just like a little man walking up amongst the giants, and they are from the moment if he takes the crown off, they will kill him. But as long as he has it on, they can do nothing. So whoever has the crown possesses the crown, controls the giants. And then you see in the last bit of the movie going from mythical era into modern era, and then you see that it's the same crown in the movie as they allude to it being the real crown in the real world. So it's like, what are they getting at? Are they like, did they control the Tartarians?
The crown is a ring. It's actually the ring of the giant.
Oh yeah.
See Father Cresby's one, the one that somebody posted about it. I think it might have been Conspiracy Arus or something. But Father Cresby's collection, not his year anymore. There's a crown and it's this big.
Yeah. So you get the idea of a ring being like, the head size, and it's like, you could crush like a human. And you've seen these movies like Fantastic Voyage, I think, right? Where they have
not long ago.
Yeah, that one's pretty nuts. I was gonna show if you've seen also, what was this one?
Have you seen the Mortal Engines?
Little Nemo?
That's them watching us.
Little Nemo is really nuts because it's about this kid who goes from this like dreamland.
Look at that.
Yeah, 1890s comic 1890s comic book, and it's been made into a movie in when I was a kid, and there's a video game even, and like it's Nemo in Slumberland. And so look at first off, I'm going to stay here for a second so you can see all the rocket ship style towers with the really high elevated walls. Nothing small like today. You get the point that they have the golden ratio. Everything's unburied in the sky. And of course, there's a pyramid, but at all points of it, there are, you know, electrical things. And he flies into the realm. And he has a friend. He's the wrong kind of guy. He really, you know, shouldn't hang out with, I guess. But he's not so bad. And the guy gives him this this idea to go to open the bad realm and then let the nightmares out of the dream realm. And then so it's this like kind of continuous. Kind of like never-ending story, but
now everything we talk about, we managed to bloody, you know, think about. We managed to discover. It's just weird. It's like the story unveiling as we're going.
Well, I mean, then they kind of want you to, right? So they've made the movies. They've got the Mummy and the National Treasure and Dune. And what's Dune about? It's about this perfect world that had energy from all the pyramids across ley lines, and then it was messed up and it becomes a desert. So they have to deal with it. And then now they've got this left treasure that we have to return, but it's not just gold. It's like, you know, useful because it controls the economy, but it's better than gold. It's actually like technology. That's like the biggest part of what they want. They want you to have technology from it, but they want to keep it from everyone as long as possible so they can make as much money off it. You know, that seems to be the thing that we're finding evidence of everywhere. We're seeing that, like, not just in the pyramids, which is obvious almost to anybody. It's like, seems like, yes, they were advanced. Deal with it. I don't know. Are there that many people that really believe the Egyptians were not advanced? There are skeptics in the world. So, but
giant aquifers below them, below the whole of the Giza Plateau. I mean, below the massive installation is below all of that, all of them tunnel systems. Below that, the natural aquifers, pristine water.
But yeah, it's like there's always this idea of purity, you know. There's always this idea of purity, but then there's also this idea of like scared, all-knowing, like
just opposing Tauruses
will swallow you if you don't understand their riddle, and you can never leave. So you know these stories are constantly.
Phoenician. It's all there.
Yeah, Phoenician Sphinx.
Two opposing Phoenician sphinxes.
Yeah. And with an active charge.
And they're not dudes. Also, they're not dudes. It's kind of funny because it's like
they never are. They're like in between. It's just like you say, they're androgynous. It's something. What do you think is this? It's like just their society, and is this what they're trying to instill into today's society? Elements to that? Do you think?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Like sexuality, like it's no tomorrow, and weirder stuff again. Like no problem. We don't mind. Even the church is saying that it's okay for them to marry and stuff. When in my mind, that's like anti-creator. That's like.
That ties in probably with the Noahide laws and everything that is anti Jesus.
Oh, dude, please go anti-good. I think it's time you bring up something on the Noahide laws. That's been really fascinating, and I feel like if we're gonna get censored for anything, it might as well be for the Noahide laws because that's some important stuff. Like, there's an interesting concept going on. While you're pulling it up, I'll just like say like it's like whether or not this is true, and it's because some people think it's in a way of escaping the 10 Commandments, you know, because then there's only 7. However, another way of looking at it would be like you know you can live in a land while not believing in the God as long as you follow the rules of the person, and that connects to like the Islamic tradition of taxing people that live in your land. So Noahide laws are deep, and they're deep rooted in our society.
Yeah. And they are Talmudic laws. So basically, there is this idea that they are coming, but they are kind of already here. Because when we delve into the deeper sides of law, there are like, for instance, if you have been in the Freeman movement, which is basically like this PSYOP part of the movement, but lay that to rest. When you go into a court, and then when you challenge the judge and you get the judge to change ship, the judge will, you know, being challenged with stuff that the judge cannot prove, will leave the court and then come in again, and then you will change jurisdiction. And they're like, he can do this 3 times because there are 3 types of law running like parallelly to each other. And the last law you have to pass is Talmudic law, which is basically the Noahide laws. And you don't have to even get to that point. But if you are, you can see that he becomes a Talmudic priest. And then it's very serious because in Talmudic law, they can order your death basically.
Wow.
Yeah, Talmudic law is very important to understand. It's like a specific thing, kind of the way the Jesuits are not the same as like the Mormons or the Baptists, even if they're similar. Like there's connections, but it's not like the Ten Commandments. It's like there are just some weird stuff. It's not like even the Zohar. It's more. It's like it's more than Kabbalah. It's a deeper thing. It's connected more with all of the levels of cultural control that are different to differentiated from the religion or the spiritual side of it itself. Even it's like we're supposed to be in charge and other people are not, or even if they're people is a question in some cases, and literally in the Zohar they ask, you know, like,
and also the question of if they are people is very interesting
about
because there is this thing about witches, and UAP has this brilliant video on witches and the Salem trials, and there was this witch hunter general which comes in and muddies the whole narrative of the witch testing of putting a witch inside a well to see if she floats. Yeah, and it doesn't fit with the witch hunter general test because according to him, real witches would sink to the bottom instantly as if they were like this other type of material.
Yeah.
And in this movie, The Brothers Grimm, you see these red-haired Scythian type people having all these EM weapons fighting witches, and they are not witches. They are basically parasites controlling some type of technology to create a body. And the very interesting thing about Latin is when you go into Latin, you can see that larvae, which is like a parasite, is an evil spirit, a demon, a devil. And it also ties into the person. Okay. It ties into the person with the horrific mask, a person being a mask. So these things are all tied together. It's artificial intelligence. And you talked about the mushrooms being able to, you have mycelium networks, and they can be hostile. They are hostile mushroom types, and they can overtake.
People have been affected by them, and communities start raving bonkers because of the viral, not just ergots growing on rye, but like viral mushroom strains infecting populations, like that dancing sickness recorded in Germany.
Yeah, choreomania. I actually wrote a screenplay about that once.
Crazy stuff.
That's a weird thing because it's mass hysteria, but it has to do with ergot poisoning, right? So the deal is that people got acid basically in their bread. Yeah. And it's funny because the first people that are going to get that are the rich people and the priests. So the priests that were like, they're waiting for the other ones to come back with the scientific information. We're all dancing on top of each other. And the only people who weren't were the poor people. So it was the very last people who were watching this would have been like your normal Joe and Tom and Bob would have been like, hey, look at how crazy this is. We're hungry, but look at how crazy.
That makes sense. I was complaining the other day about like whether, because they said, Jesus is like changing water into wine in the Bible. I was saying on a blog that it was a bad thing, bad idea. But somebody came along in my comments saying that he was like from America and he'd done moonshine. His father used to make wine when he was a kid. Yeah. He said, this stuff you did not get drunk on. Yeah. He said it had psychoactive properties and this stuff was very beneficial. And
probably.
So is that what they were actually doing?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. I've been to Burning Man a few times. So some people make different drinks and ferment them naturally, and I've like made a couple of them. So like the ones I like are kombucha and Jung, and Jung is from Tibet, and Tibet it's very similar to kombucha, but it has sort of more serotonin and metatonins in it, so it boosts your natural production of metatonins and dopamine and serotonin without just giving you like a alpha, like if you get like a DMT molecule, everyone talks so much about DMT, let's mention it.
Yeah,
it's an envelope with two tryptamine molecules that produce metatonins and serotonin. What you want is maybe like that envelope sometimes to have one instead of two, because then you could burn it slower for longer, and it'd be nice to have like just a nice coming down feeling all day long instead of having this crazy thing that just ends all the time. Well, that's the way it would have been. And it's actually, we have a lot of evidence that Griffonia seeds, everyone's going to talk about IU, and good, because it's incredible, but I would say IU is more of a living consciousness that proves that that consciousness is more than just biology, because it can be stored in like a locked way that can then be reactivated.
Oh, 100%. unlocked, all of it. It's all about shifting your perception, all about shifting your consciousness. It's all there for you. It's all there for everybody. And you don't actually need. I've spent years with these psychoactive properties, but not anymore, because I don't actually need them now.
Right.
I've worked out how my body works basically years ago, so I can like activate these things at will, which is awesome.
There's a lot of cool things about sound. I think people need to look into sound, because sound does gravity and sound does, healing. And, it's a big part of sound is control. And that's what we're talking about with the
I've seen operations conduct sound where they block pain receptors through, it was in Japan, it was surgeons, and they were doing an appendix, and they were just sticking their fingers in a hole, just ripping through into this child, taking out his appendix while he's awake, watching, and all they were doing was making sounds like pooh, pooh, and like that, and it was blocking his chi energies. And they knew exactly where the sound would block it, so you feel nothing. It was incredible.
I mean, the same thing with Tesla's like vibration machine that could blow up glasses. You just vibrate it, right harmony, it'll shatter something. Well, so you can use it. In other words, you can use it for evil too. You can use it for weaponry. You can TVs are going to be making you feel pain also. But that's one of the things I wanted to talk about was your shielding video. You talked about EMF, and so when we were looking into the Japanese and the Damascus and the Syrians and the Egyptians and everyone who makes metal clothing, it comes back before rugged big metal, before chainmail, before it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Interestingly, it gets to a point of being nanotechnology.
Yeah, there's this herringbone as well, and it gets really down there. I've got this ancient antique tapestry on my wall, and you want to see how fine the thread is. You couldn't even stick a pin through it.
Well, you can get a scanning electron microscope picture. That's the way I really look at this stuff. And what you see is the actual conglomeration of how much is in a nanometer. And your eyes do this also, by the way. This is how you tell what color is. If you learn the metrics, you could be like, oh, that's about 200 nanometers of density because it's yellow, or so par density is useful. But like when you're looking at this, you should be able to just see like it's really densely compacted, and it's because metals will push out things which are not them, and so it becomes like really static, so that's crazy. And it's interesting that the oldest technology that we seem to have is women's clothes, and that it's essentially like now like people think it's so cool, but it's like the military need it. And but it's funny to think that if these women didn't want to pass this down, it could have evolved into chainmail from like really angry dudes that were trying to copy it and just couldn't quite get it right. And
the fishbone as well is definite for EM armor. This herringbone, fishbone, the overlaying.
Can you pull that up? I actually hold on. Let me go back to you. How do I get out of this window?
That's nice, that one with the riding the tiger. Going on between animals and humans. You see all over these. Victor, how many have you seen? Hundreds. They're not eating anybody, are they? The tigers. Not.
I just found a leopard or a tiger in Sweden on an ancient map. To get paired with pyramids in Sweden on the map.
Do you have that? You want to pull that up? When you guys pull.
Oh,
you got millions. You don't know.
Oh,
yeah. Fair play.
I can pull something up. Okay, so am I sharing my screen right now?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're seeing a map right now, or this?
No, I'm just seeing you. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay, wait. Like this, right? Yeah. Now you see what I see.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yep, we got it.
Yeah, now we can get into some juice. Ooh. Okay, so. Oh yeah, remember this one, Martin? This is like from a mountaintop in Switzerland, and you see the arches.
I got an excellent lead showing all them ones. This networking.
Yeah. And what are those magnetic lodestones?
Whoa.
I think magnets. I think they're magnets.
Yeah. I think there are more to the mountains, guys.
Yes.
Look at all this subterranean artificiality. They are doing stuff that we cannot even begin to comprehend. It seems so simple.
The other day, Victor, thought that one works there.
What's interesting, if you heard about the Picts housing being alive, you know, I've seen like the idea that these houses were actually, some of them were like, have you heard about, like, what do you guys, of course you have, but what do you think about silicon trees? You know, like these giant things that were metal. They had like gold leaves and things, perhaps. Like some amount of metal was like composited into these like giant trees.
Yeah, it's such an interesting idea. Also because you have this... We have a mainstream idea, Andreas, about silicon life being the the primal source of carbon-based life. So it's interesting that they would.
They always push this in Star Trek, don't they? Silicon-based life forms.
Yeah, I mean, I think the interesting thing isn't what it is, if it's nitrogen or carbon or silicon. It's more about like if life is consciousness and not biology, because biology we kind of worked around this carbon-based paradigm, and we could just expand that to be, I mean, like inorganic as well, and then it would just be, you know, biology would just be about the noosphere again, and it would be about consciousness, and you know, that would just catch us up with like 16th century mysticism, which science would really be nice if we could catch up with that, the Dark Ages.
Yeah, about the Dark Ages, man. Look at these weird cryptids. Like, holy.
Wow. These things I kind of believe in. I always feel like these animals kind of existed to some extent.
I think in one of the resets, this stuff was happening. In one of these.
Yeah. Yeah, and as alchemical thinkers say, all these, you know, they can be composite symbols, you know. Then you have a snake.
EM or serpent.
Because
you know, at the same time, the BBC announced that everyone was watching too many Flat Earth videos. They did.
Yes, I got it there.
They did admit that everyone was watching, and should be watching, and that they will admittedly confirm that Tyrannosaurus Rex had feathers, and they have DNA from the tail in an amber thing of a Chickasaurus. So, I mean, they're at least encouraging us subliminally, if not bluntly, what they want us to talk about. So maybe we should focus on, whoa.
Look at this, guys. Look at this. This is a crystal, and there's this image in it.
Yeah, what's that?
Like a hologram or something, a city. Or maybe a real, who knows.
It's so weird. Like, if crystals can store information and information is light, is this possible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely.
So, oh my God. Look at this.
The subterraneous. Let's have a look, H. Why your whirlpool? Get some speed. Got running while you're going around it, maybe.
Oh, yeah. And sometimes these images are little... this is magnetics.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, look at that. They knew not only the magnetic
they got male female magnetic forces, they got everything there, even the toroidals. They understand.
You see,
we got perpetual motion, lighting, you know.
Do you guys play with magnets now for fun yet? Like, do you guys have some toy magnets? That's the most important thing you can do, is play with magnets.
I'll show you my perpetual motion machine.
No, I want to see it.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'll stop screen sharing then.
No. I'll show when he gets back. He's getting it.
Okay. We have some time left to just look how they know the fields. They know how they run in
perpetual motion.
Yeah. They know that it has 4 directions probably as well. It's just not shown.
I'll do it when you're leaning it back.
Yeah, I had the dolphin one when I was a kid. I like, you know, dolphins that swing forever. I love it.
Yeah.
You know, of course, all of this stuff was available to us in like $10, $20 toys when we were kids, you know.
Yeah. Oh, guys, look at this.
Iron filings I want to play with iron filings. There's plenty of things I can do with them in my magnets.
Guys.
So the cool thing, if you're looking at these pictures, is you're seeing what that is it's the ions that exist around the item. So that's this idea of consciousness as opposed to gravity being this electromagnetic force. It's fascinating to think about how they already knew it at a time.
They're actually drawing the invisible forces, because the ones that would show if you show an iron filings are not the ones that are actually there. They're linear forces.
Right.
So,
but also blind.
But let's just talk about the hidden history implication as well. If a guy in the 1600s can figure out how magnetic fields look like, then what does that tell us?
they're very advanced thinking people, and they got very advanced technology, obviously.
But also, you got alchemy, which is the study of
now we're getting into some juice, guys. I
juice.
think
there's a study of chemet, and then there's a study of Hebrew, right? Algebra and alchemet. So there's, one of the other studies is the study of numbers, which study really the empathy or the reactions of things. So part of it is also being like, okay, this reacts against that, and I can't, what if you were blind, So you start to taking away all of your own perceptions of it, just looking for reactions.
Yeah. And it's also, if you pair that with stimulation and simulation, you could probably say something more about it.
Well, it's interesting about ions, because like this idea that the ions are the real thing and gravity's not is interesting. And like, I'd have a harder time arguing that ions exist. And I think ions are kind of the thing that proves spirit as a physical force or a connection to the physical force, which would be nice to just get that done with, because I feel like people need to get over their, like there's really anti-spiritualists that are part of the atheist agenda that's like, and it's just so trite and just disparaging and tedious.
Yeah. Also, I just want to say that these empires are basically the beast of today combined.
Yeah, same thought I showed, but in a different form on my last post, and they looked exactly the same, and the same representatives.
And you see, this is a sleeping Saturn. This is a sleeping Santa Claus. He's sleeping right now, and he's awakening in Aquarius. Wow. So, yeah.
Excellent snack. I love it.
Oh, and Ezekiel's wheel.
The wheel.
Wheels within wheels turning up.
Wow. Yeah, and wheels within wheels are like symbols within symbols, and that is what you're seeing here with this is the galactic cross. Correct me if I'm mistaken, but these are the 4 cardinal signs: Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, and Leo. And they are all actively charged here, you see.
The civilization up in flames in the background, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone did the thing about like bismuth salt or tartaric salt.
Yeah, piezoactive forces. Also mud as well, because in the sand, in the mud, obviously is crystalline structure to that. And that's got possibly piezoelectric forces that could be activated too in some sort of form, like electrolyte form. Maybe that's what fracking is at,
Yeah.
Catalyst. Maybe.
Yeah, I feel like fracking is really interesting, because about how the auto-tune was created by the frackers, right? Music auto-tuning. If there's 2 things you don't like at the same time. And the funny thing about auto-tune was that they were looking for oil and whatever. They're like, if we send sonar to these places, we'll get these like lines and we can augment them. And they're like, actually, we could use this to make our, and they sold it. But like, it's directly linked, and they've been all about sonar, technology for forever, trying to get into the, into the depths, like Unagi and whatever. Uni.
Magic they're using is deep. Look at these stacked things underneath the arc. Like technology. They look like superconductors on this table here.
Yeah, those are electrical. Oh, just a second, guys. I just want to show South Park Ark of the Covenant, because it shows you.
Wait, you can't show any video, but you can pause it.
Oh no, yeah, okay, that's true. I can find the just a second, guys.
Get images of it if you put that episode in Google Images. That's what I do to get away from no copyright.
But it's the Ark of the Covenant is pretty weird, because it supposedly kills you if you open it, and
like in the film,
radiation poisoning or something.
And this is what happens when they open the Ark of the Covenant. This electrical light comes out, and everybody watching it dies. So I thought that was very interesting, connected with the Birdcage movie.
The people who write South Park are from MIT. They got the most, the smartest people in America working in that place.
Yeah.
They think these things out years ahead, predictive programming.
Well, Randall Severn Parker III, or Trey, is definitely an interesting guy. He was the valedictorian of his high school, and he, so there's a lot going on with him.
All of them. They're all really smart people. I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. They are PhDs, at least working on Simpsons, and Simpsons is, you know, numerologically, it's 33 all over the place. And I want to add something to the 33, because in alchemy, 33 would reduce to 6, and 6 would be Jupiter. That's his number in alchemy and astrology. Yeah, so, cool. So again, with the Satan and the 33 and the Jupiter and the Baphomet.
Makes perfect sense, brother. I can get that mixed up and look at it later and see how many correlations I can make. Now you started that off. Amazing, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome, brother. That's what happens when we come together.
I would make the distinction that South Park is slightly better than The Simpsons. I've been thinking about this for a minute.
Agreed.
Because, like, I was just thinking about how Trey Parker is a game theory master, and you can find him if you go to Santa Monica. You can play him in a game because he plays games. But what he does in game theory is the study of models of conflict and cooperation between decision makers. So rather than in The Simpsons, where they kind of like hide things, these Yale writers kind of like hide their information, and they're like, oh, look, by the way, we encrypted a prediction like Nostradamus or whatever. Like, the milieu of South Park is cool because it's really open information. They're like, well, this could happen because it's crazy, and therefore let's play it out to...
the cube is across then, the fold-away cube is across. Did you check that then?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, wow. How are they knowing? Well,
they
do.
I mean, think about math planate geometry as personifications of awareness and this causality of consequence, that we look at things as an electric system instead of just being like one thing or another thing. It's nebulous, but therefore it's all like being kind of shown. I think there's clearly a difference in South Park than there is to The Simpsons, because they like try to,
Andreas, you know about psychology South Park before. You know,
right, meta psychology, totally inside the mind of the Lord. Yeah, totally. Yeah. And like, you know, he's the Descartes man, the Bodhisattva. Like, he's the one who's constantly like, he bees here now the most. You know, that's all right. But that's my little thought, because I've been thinking about that.
No, it's interesting. I've been thinking along the same lines. I also, because they are full circle. They have references to law. There's this crazy episode where the guys need to hire a lawyer, and the lawyer does this suance. He's suing somebody, so he summons Edgar Allan Poe's spirit or something in a suance. So they are outright telling you in the courtroom they are doing a suance and they are summoning the dead. And
true.
I also want to show something for the Danish people, if there are some. Don't worry, I'll translate. But our alien dictionary, as it should be called, is extremely interesting on many different topics. And if you put in citation, you get this word, which is like a solicitor, like a lawyer who solicits or writes a summons. And in Danish, it is translated as a necromancer. This is like, this is necromancy.
Wow. Yeah. And if you look into like the root, actually, that has to do with Psi. Think about Psi for a second. Yeah. Just think about it. Scythian, and like
it is. I know. I was thinking about the Siths or the Star Wars as well. You know what they are in their nature.
Oh yeah, totally. Oh gosh.
Yeah, Siths, isn't it? Like sort of nomadic. And,
Psi as a priest.
Where's my card?
Yeah, but yeah, Psi and PSY and stuff like that. It could be worthy of looking into. I also wanted to share something.
Think about sci-fi, right? Because it's like, it's this idea that they're like, you know, they want you to think it's like a frequency that changes you and like makes you feel a different way. But
are you still watching? Are you still seeing my sheet?
I just got back to it.
Okay, so look at the word connection you can get out from far-niece family. Okay, so your word splice far and niece. Far, you can take from it what you want, but I would like to point out that it has this modality of sacrificial meal dark spread. So is this idea of dog Latin is retained here, and then you have nexus, far niece, which nexus is one reduced to quasi-slavery for debt. So you have the sacrificial meal that is.
I'm part of a camp at Nexus, Burning Man. Not anymore, but when I was in 2007, and so God, now I know what they're about.
Oh, sorry. Also, see the word Orsini, which is rooted in words in itself, orsus, and also this modality of web weaving, beginning. And then you have the Vatican in South Park. Highest source, they ask their highest source, and that's Queen Spider. They ask the Queen Spider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And have you seen the spider in the actual church pictures? Like, look up a picture of a Vatican. Look up I don't know. You can find them. They kind of look like Freemason signs with more legs. There are in like if you type in like a church, like Cathedral of Leon. I don't know, something like that. Doesn't matter.
And they have this. Some South Park comes through in a bad way. Funny. This is like this spiral thing they have going on in the Vatican. But what is very funny is Orsini is one of the families that have produced the most cardinals and popes. And it's funny that you would, if you type in Orsini in Latin etymology, you get the web, the weaving. And are they telling you that the Orsini family is the highest source of the Vatican here?
I don't know. That's flipping brilliant. Connecting. I don't know. I've been thinking about that. I've got some depictions with this central thing being on this grid, being the spider. You know, when you said it, I thought, spider. I'm going to have to go over a few things.
And then you also have the dialectic, Martin, at Bohemian Grove, where they say, weaving spiders come not here.
Absolutely. Oh, and then
I've seen it on the owl placard, yeah.
And Rick and Morty, oh, what a tangled web we weave. And then also the spider is actually the
tangled web we weave. That one,
yeah.
Wait, stop, go back to that picture. Look at the way that the sign around it is the arachnid. So that's the other thing.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And so
that's a ribbon. Oh, yeah, it could be a rib. No,
the brick.
No, outside the bricks in the shape of either an eye or a pyramid or the eye of Horus. Even Vesica Pisces. Piscus further out.
Yeah, and a squared Vesica Pisces at that. Did you see that? Wow.
Well spotted.
Weaving spiders come not here. And maybe we should see if we get something for Tartary Owl inside here now.
Well, we do. Can you go back 1 second? Really quickly go back. Did you see on the dollar where the owl is that it's in a spider web? Like, is the point?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I never seen that.
Okay, so the point is, I feel like I have to say some stuff about the dollar because people talk about the dollar and stop. Just look right there. Okay, that's fine. It's a spider web is what the owl is in. This is a spider web. And if you can look at a full dollar for a second, that'd be cool. Like, okay, the back side of the dollar. Yeah. Wait, look, it's right there on the page. Go back to that page. Stop right there. So if you look to the right side, you've got the head of the owl made of the wings of the eagle. The wings of the eagle are the head of the owl with two invisible eyes above the. Do you see that?
Yeah.
If you can click on the image and we can zoom in on it, it'll be easier to see. But there's a gestalt to it, which is the wings of the eagle are another animal, which is the mind of the owl, which is protecting the goddess who is Scythia and mother. The Hestia goddess character, who can be Ishtar, Starbucks, whatever you want.
The siren of Starbucks, but we also have the owl here in DC in the outline, and then we also have the owl.
That image is that possible to flip it? Can you, if you?
We also have the owl at Pentagon.
Indeed.
But if you look at the owl upside down, go look at the map of the owl really quickly. See, or look at the other image that was like more just a map, like one of the map images.
It's also two opposing Fibonacci's.
See how the upside down owl is the upside. If you look at it up to your, there you go. Just if you look at it upside down, it's standing. It's a kind of like another entity that's not an owl. Like the head is the pizza shape.
Them sort of that shape.
Yeah, so imagine like an ant.
Like
imagine an anteater. I gotta get the picture of myself and turn it upside down.
Oh yeah, an anteater.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I kind of see it. It also kind of looks like the astrological symbol of Taurus right here.
Yeah, too, doesn't it?
If you flip it over, let me just show
The
you.
bottom bit.
Yeah, you see. So this is also kind of like Taurus, and Taurus has, in Taurus constellation, we have the Ein Sof, evil eye, Taurus. Oh, and that's basically okay, no images, but okay, there's a star.
While I'm here, I'll show you. So check it out. So this is what it looks like upside down. So you've got the horns of the character, and he's got the legs. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So a lot of these symbols are as above, but not so below. You know, there's like an inside without kind of a thing going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
How you guys doing, by the way? It's about.
I'll be cutting out soon, Andre. I gotta go and see my son and make some food and stuff. I've been out all day. I think
it's about time to shut down. If you want to say anything else, you want to get on. Like, is there anything you want to get? You know.
No, we'll catch up again, man. This was good work. Actually, we actually made some really seriously good connections here. I feel this stuff.
Dude, I love talking to you.
And, you know, it's just, this is how it's going to work. It's like little think tanks again. We have a mixing together and getting ideas on the table. It's not all about hangouts and people and that. It's about work, isn't it? Ideas. So this has helped. I feel this has helped.
I really appreciate it.
I'm happy to come back and catch up with you guys again soon. Just give us a buzz.
Excellent. And, you know, anytime I know you do like videos, like anytime you want to do videos, like we should, like, if I'll send you this one if you want it, so you can repost it or however that works for you, and we can do whatever. So
better slide on your channel a bit, get your views. And I don't usually. I've never mirrored in 1,000 videos. Cool. If I do, I put it on my second channel. But
excellent. It's usually do as you will. I just want to make sure everyone who wants this information knows it's free information. It's like everyone can have it. Anyone who wants to take it and make new stuff, we're trying to promote their new material. If there's anybody who's got new stuff, hit us up on the Discord. You could have like 1 follower or 0 followers, and we still want to hear from you.
Yeah, same message from me as well. You know, if you want to, you know, everything that we actually, you know, present on my channel as well is linked for people to pick up on, pick up and take their own, you know, investigation path. So there's enough work for everyone to go around. If all of us are on it, there's going to be amazing answers to be had this year. It's just, I can't even imagine where this is going. You know, I couldn't. You know, I never thought we'd be here.
It's going beautiful places, Martin.
I know. Yeah. We're making it real. Our future and the past, and they're connected. And they're outside of now, very close to both of them.
I also want to express how humbling it is to have been a part of this. Thank you so much.
Same, and the connections and the people in it. God, it's just unbelievable. Don't find these people in ordinary life.
yeah, we need to be closer to each other.
Not on the supermarket.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, guys. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate everybody who watched this, and we'll come back soon and we'll do it again. Take care.
Yeah. Take care.
Chat, you know, just having a look. So that's been peace of love to you all in chat anyway. I haven't really given much attention. So thanks, guys. Inviting Victor, catch up soon. And you, Andreas.
Yeah, catch up, Martin.
Peace, guys.
Good.